What up, guys? It's Shani with Healing Elements on a roll and gonna upload another video. This time it is to the archetypal analysis playlist. And this is all about the archetype of Robin Hood. The archetype of Robin Hood, aka Robin of Loxley, is all about the charming and heroic outlaw, the type of idolization we place on mobsters or perhaps Jesse James, Bonnie and Clyde, things of that nature. This is a character, Robin Hood, if you're not familiar, is a character in a classic English folklore story. It is about, a humble, born, or in some stories actually, there is a noble born quality, but the land or something happens, an adverse situation to Robin Hood in which he no longer has that noble quality. In any case, this is a gentleman who, quote unquote, the quote is, robs from the rich and gives to the poor. So he is very tied into the lower income, you know, the less fortunate, the poverty stricken, the hungry, the community that is more bunched in together, crowded type of, again, blue collar, lower income, struggling to make ends meet community. He is definitely tied in with the community, although, again, the Aquarius energy that I feel with this Robin Hood energy is one of wit, charm, and someone who doesn't stay for very long in one place. So although he does belong to the community, where he comes in and out of in the story, which is Nottingham, and is antagonized by the sheriff of Nottingham, since he is an outlaw, robbing from the rich to give to the poor. He is somewhat of a vagabond. He prefers and wants to belong to a community and have the roots and the loyalty associated with that, but always is, having that free flowing, independent, I need to roam vibe, always on the go type of energy. So when we talk about the archetype of Robin Hood, again, this is an English folklore story. So an Englishman, someone who is a gentleman with, very traditional gentleman qualities of kindness toward women and children. And again, feeling a proclivity to give to that or whom is more unfortunate or not getting any, when he feels, the archetype of Robin Hood feels, this is all about a feeling of unfairness, that an overindulgence and overabundance in one sector is an unfair crime almost in itself. And so therefore Robin Hood, justifies his actions of crime to steal this back based on the taxation and, restraints that are put both on the poor and the rich. So when we talk about Robin Hood and the qualities and archetype analysis, the energy, this is all about being a skilled, very sneaky assassin, although he does not, specialize in that. He's a thief, but skilled with weaponry. So he uses a bow and arrow very, very, very skillfully. He is able to do tricks. Sometimes if you see in the classic cartoons or stories, you'll notice that he's so skilled where he will, just to tease the sheriff, his antagonist, he'll shoot him in the head, but really just get his hat, something like that. So it's this notion that he is very skilled with weaponry and can use it if he chooses to do so. But, pretending and disguise is more of his bag, being a thief, sneaking in, having that, devilish surprise aspect, shocking and stunning people when you do find that he is in your presence, because it's kind of like that stealthy sneak up on you. And of course, we have to talk about the poor, destitute, the meek, those, again, that are cast in a structure from society, so-called hierarchy, that is lesser than, or deemed to be by society lesser than. So this has a meaning, I think, in general, Robin Hood archetype, which is talking about classes and caste systems and hierarchies and people that are separated based on their money, their income, if you have or have not, that type of thing. First, second, third class, putting people and associations alongside with that notion, validating others and belonging to a group of comrades that suffer and or are privileged with the same things that you are is a comfort. And so this archetype, I think, speaks about staying in our comfort zone, not seeking out that which is different to learn. So I think that we can learn a lesson with that meaning right there. So this is also, of course, tied in with struggling to obtain bare necessities, and again, others right across the town being able to not only obtain necessities, frivolously do so, and waste. And so this is, a bitterness that is embodied by Robin Hood the rebellious quality. That is why it's ignited, because he feels bitter about the debts and the taxes, that this is an unfair burden on the poor, that, the coin and currency is tied in also with this archetype. It's just about the tax increases being put on everyone, and the notion for this archetype to feel that the rich, or those that are able to waste basically and do not have to pine to get basic necessities, that they do not deserve or need the same equal tax breaks as the poor. So this is a big political vibe, but one that is giving, very charitable, very gracious toward those, again, that are in a lesser fortunate circumstance than others who are able to provide. So this also talks about being down and out enough to make choices that defy your morals or your moral integrity, that totally can surprise you and come across as a contradiction of your values to yourself and others. So again, being so upset and bitter and pissed off basically that the rich is taxing unfairly to the poor, and the poor barely is having enough to eat, that type of thing. That kind of passion and build up of anger and impoverished situations coming to a head and making us perhaps, make choices that you would not have otherwise. So, for example, your children are starving to death literally, and you steal fruit from an orchard, although it's totally desperate circumstances, and it seems that no one would warrant this as a cruel or unfair act, regardless of the citizen that does it, the beast, the class, the caste, right? It is still against the law to steal a farmer's moneymaker, right? His orchard, his fruit. So that would be going against your moral code, but only in the situation that really pretty much was desperate for you to have to go against those moral, integral values that you have. So this is all about, of course, a cat and mouse classic opposition to the Sheriff of Nottingham and Robin Hood, Robin of Loxley, are constantly in a chase and run, wanted posters with Robin Hood's face, looking for the outlaw. He is someone who's elusive. He sneaks in and out and just doesn't seem to get caught. So it's a constant cycle. It's a karmic cycle, basically, of this opposition, and one who is by duty taxed with obeying the law and enforcing the law, and then by nature of what he feels is his moral duty because of desperation, doing his role, Robin Hood then playing the thief, and then the chase ensues. So also, when we talk about the archetype of Robin Hood, of course, we talk about a hero and a savior, because when you are starving and someone provides you food, or you cannot pay your rent unless you will be thrown out and your kids are sick in Nottingham, right? Being saved from homelessness, being saved from starvation and destitution, right? Being saved by punishment, perhaps, if you didn't pay your taxes. That savior, heroic vibe, when you are saved with such dire circumstances, even if it comes from something that was a criminal act, that act of kindness in itself, is something that is idolized. It's a heroic bravado that is, uplifting of the criminal or outlaw. So the savior vibe, maybe if we're talking about, I don't know, Al Capone and his donations or protection of the community and how people idolized and truly, um, you know, would cherry pick and make him exempt from any judgment that they otherwise would probably divulge onto others if doing the same thing. So, for instance, if Robin Hood wasn't giving to the poor and saving, being a savior, a hero to the community, saving people from homelessness and destitution, then this would be something looked down upon, right? Stealing and being constantly in hot pursuit with the law, right? An outlaw, a criminal. This also talks about that bravado and that charisma, that charm that comes with somebody in power that even if can be maleficent or, you know, has done damage, so to speak, in the past, or is considered, an opposition or an antagonist, they seem to, again, I'll bring up Al Capone, they seem to have a charm. People, when put in their presence, say, aha, I understand how that person got so far with power and persuasion because they have a charming bravado, some sense of charisma, a cockiness about this archetype. So Robin Hood is very flirtatious and teasing, humorous, and seems to have an air of ability to perform, even though not performing, sort of like when they come around. So the archetype of Robin Hood, when Robin Hood shows up, you have everybody looking. It's something that is desirable, the charisma and charm and, sneak in, sneak out, surprise show, and, good looks and flirtatious nature that is just off the cuff. It doesn't have to be, forced. This is something that is desirable. So desirable and flirtation and seduction, things like that. So also, of course, tricking, sneaking, sort of like a pickpocket vibe, coming in and out when you don't know that they have even been there, right? A magician that is one of illusionary practice, though, who can distract the audience with like fast talking or likable, pleasant type of things, shiny things, or, things of that nature. Just something of a distraction, a sneaky quality. You won't know what hit you. You don't know what is out of your pocket until you check later, right? This is a dashing, attractive, again, vibe when we talk about the archetype, that lust or love that women have sort of for the attractive bad boy, right? So like what is rebellious at the time, let's say Elvis Presley, right? And all the fathers freaking out because he was hip thrusting and all that. This is that type of fainting and having millions of women come because not only is he attractive, it's also that it's in arena of taboo or something that society deems to be taboo. And so that makes the quote unquote bad boy attractiveness, that magnetism, have meaning and be, even stronger. I think experience in this case, in Robin Hood, in his story, it's a love at first sight. So this is an unexpected love with somebody who is out of his class. So one of noble birth, Maid Marian, and he is obviously an outlaw. He and her share a very love at first sight, very endearing and enchantment, something that is an entanglement, something that is just almost an irritation and aggravation because it is so powerful. Neither of them can help the sexual tension and the desire they have. And so it's a very funny, flirtatious, kind of, again, aggravated, but with a funny, teasing nature. A spontaneity of love that gets in the way of perhaps being a vagabond or being a thief or recklessly, not acting within the law, not having to care for much of, anything else. Of course, if you get in trouble, it's just you. So the Robin Hood archetype is about a classic running and chasing antagonist, cop and robber type of storyline, but being, thrown in there with the Montagues and Capulets, talking about, unexpected love that hits you and you can't deny it. So falling in love with an unexpected suitor, companion, someone who maybe taboo, age difference, gender, looks that you are not, accustomed to being attracted to. Who knows? An undeniable connection is with this archetype of Robin Hood. A love that he has and that is uncontrolled and unfortunately is not bound by societal expectations, or fortunately, whichever you look at it. This is the classic marrying of the same or different class and how it has been looked at throughout the different cultures and ages. There's an enchantment energy that is that I will run away with you, right? She's in love with the girl, that song, like she's going to marry that boy someday. It's about them realizing and being frustrated that they may be in the wrong place, wrong time, wrong circumstances, but they are head over heels falling in love, undeniably magnetically drawn to each other in an overwhelming sense. Again, in a pinch where there is a running and chasing a classic, hero's journey type of thing, this cyclical law breaking and law enforcing chase run type of outlaw, but then we feel sorry for this person and prop him up as a hero because of the means that he acquires and what he does with them, right? So I think that this also, to leave off, the Robin Hood archetype speaks of camaraderie and loyalty amongst community members. So, sticking to a story to protect Robin Hood, the archetype is all about, having someone's back that is in similar circumstances. So, quote unquote, like when you come to the hood, right? These kind of conditions and similar circumstances, you feel at home. So people are much more likely to help you out in a situation in which you may be running for the law or doing something that needs protection, right? You are amongst ones who, no doubt, ride or die type of, again, the mobster quality, the Bonnie or Clyde, ride till you die, ones who will have your back, who will validate, who will hide you, or who just are not shameful or judgmental of anything that you're doing or conditions, because they feel a camaraderie, a loyalty, because again, you have an understanding that there's been same scenarios and same situations, rich run with the rich, poor run with the poor type of vibe. And so again, I'll leave you off with what I said in the beginning. I think that the lesson that we can see, one of them within the archetype of Robin Hood, is not sticking to those people, places, or things that we feel comfortable around and that we are similar to. I challenge myself and everyone else, to go outside of what the norm is for you guys, for me to be around, to experience, go outside demographics or your comfort zone, or, befriend someone unlike yourself or unlike the neighborhood or caste or, income or circumstance that you tend to stick around with. Try to mingle with those outside of your personal community, and that sparks growth. And I definitely think that when we talk about Robin of Loxley, Robin Hood, robbing from the rich to give to the poor, this is about confidence and humor and having charitable endeavors, right? Talking, of course, about the value of money and how, when put into political or societal systems, there is difficulties with some people being able to make ends meet, and to rely on charitable endeavors sometimes is a necessity, and this can build camaraderie within a community. And when we mingle, like Robin Hood does with Marion, with somebody outside of our normal, community, so to speak, or, place of residence, right? Castle compared to a tent or just laying out in the open. For Maid Marian and Robin Hood, this is talking about being able to learn and grow from something that is perceived to be opposite. So thank you guys. Blessings, love, and light. I appreciate you listening to another video that I'm adding to the archetypal analysis. This was all about Robin Hood archetype.